If you're approaching 40 or have already passed that milestone, congratulations. This video is for you. Don't ever think that reaching middle age means all hope is lost or that life is on the decline. That couldn't be further from the truth. Real life begins at 40. So today, give yourself a moment of patience and let me guide you through a fresh perspective to re-examine the age of 40, a number that often feels sensitive or even daunting. The Chinese sage Confucius once said, "At 40, I had no doubts." But what does that truly mean? Trust me, after hearing what I have to share today, you'll no longer fear getting older. In fact, you may even begin to sincerely appreciate that you finally reached 40. Because 1. You finally realize that money is meant to enrich your life experiences, not to show off. Think back to your 20s. Didn't we all believe that driving a luxury car, carrying a designer bag, and dining at high-end restaurants meant we had it all? We worked tirelessly to earn money, only to spend it on someone else's nod of approval or a glance of envy. We convince ourselves that this is success, that this is happiness. But have you ever noticed how fleeting that kind of joy is? It's like fireworks, dazzling for a moment, then followed by an even deeper emptiness. That bag you spent 3 months' salary on feels underwhelming the very next day. That car you bought on credit, besides burdening you with more debt, doesn't really bring you much genuine freedom. We use money to build ourselves a seemingly beautiful fortress, only to end up trapping ourselves inside it. So, the first and most meaningful awakening that comes with turning 40 is finally understanding the true purpose of money. Money is meant to serve your feelings, not to inflate your image. This isn't to say that money isn't important. On the contrary, it's at 40 that you truly understand just how important it is. Important enough that you can no longer afford to waste it on meaningless things. You begin to realize that truly nurturing yourself has little to do with price tags. Spending a few hundred yuan on a baking or guitar class you've always wanted to take brings a sense of fulfillment from creating something out of nothing. That feeling can keep you happy for an entire month, far more than buying a designer t-shirt ever could. You no longer chase the number of dinner outings, but start to care about the quality of the food. You're more willing to spend a bit more on quality ingredients, to cook a healthy and delicious meal at home for your family. Watching them eat with satisfaction brings a warmth that no gourmet delicacy could ever replace. You're now willing to spend money on experiences and health. A high-quality mattress gives you restful sleep every night. A spontaneous trip broadens your view of the world. A comprehensive health checkup deepens your respect for your own body. You've come to realize that these expenses are actually the most valuable investments in life. At 40, you finally made the shift from spending to meet others' expectations to spending for your own peace of mind. You no longer need to use consumption to prove, "I'm doing well," because deep down, you know better than anyone how you're really doing. You started using money to buy time, freedom, knowledge, health, and the kind of beautiful experiences that make your soul truly shine. That IT feels like you spent your life playing a pay-to-win game just to impress others. And now, you finally uninstalled it. Instead, you're using that money to cultivate your own real-life garden. That's the true financial freedom that turning 40 brings. 2. You finally realize that 99% of social interactions are just wasted time. You open your social media and see hundreds, maybe even thousands of friends. But think about it. How many of them do you barely even remember? How many are just people who occasionally hit the like button? When something happens late at night and you're lying awake, phone in hand, who can you actually call? Who would really answer? In the first half of our lives, we're all doing one thing, desperately trying to go outward and fit into the crowd that we attend all kinds of dinners, put on polite smiles, exchange small talk, and add each other on WeChat, thinking that knowing one more person means having one more path in life. But in the end, we don't gain many new paths, only a growing sense of exhaustion. We act like enthusiastic social animals, bouncing from one event to another, only to come home feeling like the loneliest person in the world. This leads to the second and most sobering awakening we experience at 40. You finally have the courage to admit that 99% of your social interactions in the first half of your life were meaningless, or worse, draining junk time. You finally come to understand a few harsh but undeniable truths. 1. A social circle isn't something you blend into, It's something you attract. 2. If you're not strong enough, it doesn't matter who you know. Why should anyone help you? You forced your way into a circle that doesn't belong to you. And all you can do there is serve tea and play the role of a background extra. When you shine on your own, you don't need to seek out the light, because you are the light, and you'll naturally attract those who resonate with you. True friends are filtered, not collected. Time and hardship are the best filters. Those who celebrate you when you're thriving don't really matter. The ones who are willing to lend a hand when you're struggling or quietly stay by your side without saying a word are the true luxuries in your life. The best kind of relationship is the one that doesn't feel like work. You don't need to go out of your way to please anyone or walk on eggshells. When you're with the right people, silence feels natural, venting is accepted, and even revealing your most vulnerable side doesn't make you worry they'll walk away. Any relationship that demands constant effort to maintain is, at its core, a form of emotional drain. So, at 40, you start doing a deep clean of your social circle. You're no longer eager to add contacts on WeChat or chase networking opportunities. You quietly start removing those zombie friends. You stop forcing yourself to attend dull gatherings. You'd rather spend that time alone or with a few true friends who really matter. You begin to embrace solitude because you realize it's the best time to have an honest conversation with yourself. Your life has shifted from chasing the breadth of connections to valuing the depth of relationships. You're no longer afraid of offending others because you finally realized that the one person you should never betray is yourself. This kind of intentional decluttering of relationships has made your life feel clearer and more refreshing than ever before. 3. You finally dared to be selfish and put yourself first. Now be honest with me. Over the past few decades, where did you rank in your own list of priorities? Was it always after your parents, your partner, your children, or even your job? Since we were young, we've been taught to be considerate, to be selfless, to put others before ourselves. We strive to be good children, good partners, good parents, and good employees. Like superheroes, we try to live up to everyone's expectations. But in the stillness of the night, have you ever asked yourself, who's there to take care of me? Where do I put my own frustrations, my exhaustion, my dreams? We become a beam of light that shines on everyone else, yet forget to illuminate the path beneath our own feet. 3. The third and most transformative awakening that comes with turning 40 is that you finally dare to be unapologetically selfish. You finally have the courage to make yourself the top priority in your own life. This kind of selfishness doesn't mean hurting others or seeking personal gain at someone else's expense. That it is a kind of wisdom rooted in self-care and self-responsibility. You come to the painful realization that a person who is emotionally depleted cannot offer true love. You're like an empty cup. How can you nourish your family when you have nothing to give? When you suppress your own emotions just to please others, that energy becomes distorted, and people can sense it. Only when you are full yourself can your love flow naturally and freely. Your life ultimately belongs to you. Parents will grow old, children will grow up, and your partner is only there to walk part of the journey with you. The only one who will be with you from beginning to end is yourself. If you don't care for yourself or take responsibility for your own life, who else can you rely on? Your feelings are bigger than the sky. In the past, you always believed that putting the greater good first was the most important thing. Now you understand that your own physical and mental well-being is the most important greater good in your life. The things that make you unhappy, the people who drain your energy, those are the ones truly disrupting your bigger picture. So, at 40, you've started doing some rebellious things. You say no to unreasonable requests from relatives, even if it means being labeled insensitive. You let your partner take care of the kids for a while, so you can go see a movie or simply spend an afternoon zoning out at a cafe. You turn off your phone, refuse to work overtime, and go for a run or hit the gym, because you know that if your body gives out, everything else falls apart. You've started speaking your mind, even if it might lead to conflict, because you'd rather have a genuine relationship than a fake sense of peace. When you start putting yourself first, you'll be surprised to find that the world doesn't fall apart. On the contrary, When you're full of energy and in a good place, you're actually better at handling work and more patient with your family. You're no longer a drained, resentful, nice person. You become someone vibrant, energized, and truly capable of love. This is what turning 40 teaches you. The highest form of altruism begins with taking care of yourself. For you finally come to understand life's greatest gain is learning to let it go. Do you also have a few enemies living in your mind? That person who once hurt you, that decision you regret so deeply, that relationship you gave your all to but ended with nothing. Don't they feel like those virus files on your computer that just won't delete? They pop up from time to time, eat up your memory, slow down your system, and sometimes even crash it. In the first half of our lives, we're always caught up in comparisons, measuring gains and losses, right and wrong, fairness and injustice. We can't accept things we can't let go. We always want an explanation, always want to prove we were right. And what do we get in return? Nothing but the repeated pain of reopening old wounds. Point 40 is the crisp click of the format button. The fourth awakening it brings is the realization that the wisest way to live is to learn to say two simple words: let it go. Let it go doesn't mean backing down or being weak. It's an act of deep compassion toward yourself. After 40 years of life, you've seen enough of the darkness in human nature and the unpredictability of the world. You finally understand. Not everything can be reasoned with. Getting entangled with toxic people and messy situations only pulls you into the mud. If you win, you're left with nothing but frustration. If you lose your peace and your time. The best choice is not to engage at all. Not every loss is a setback. Some people leave your life because fate is helping you sort them out. Some opportunities are missed so that better ones can come your way. When destiny closes a door, it often opens a window somewhere else. What you once saw as a loss may, in hindsight, turn out to be a gain. The person you most need to make peace with isn't someone else, it's yourself. When you can't let go of others, it's really because you haven't let go of yourself. Replaying painful memories over and over is using someone else's mistakes to punish your present self. That's one of the most foolish things you can do. So at 40, you start learning how to clear it all with one click. The person who once hurt you, you let it go. Not because you forgive them, but because you choose to free yourself. You asked him to leave your heart because it's too precious to serve as a prison cell for him, for free. That decision you regretted, you let it go. You reminded yourself that, with the knowledge and limitations you had at the time, you made the best choice you could. You're thankful for that mistake because it made you wiser today. Those dreams that never came true, you let them go. You began to accept your own ordinariness and learn to find small joys in everyday life. When you learn to say let it go to yourself, you'll feel lighter. You'll no longer carry the heavy burden of the past. You'll pull your energy away from resentment and regret and pour it into living fully in the present. This kind of wisdom, learning to go easy on yourself, is the most precious gift your 40s can give you. 5. You finally admit that health isn't just the top priority, it's the only one. Remember back in your 20s, when you could stay out singing karaoke all night and still make it to work the next day? When you could have barbecue and beer at every meal without gaining a pound? We used to think of our bodies as indestructible buddies. We could push as hard as we wanted. But after 35, especially once you hit 40, have you noticed that this buddy starts to turn on you? One late night takes a whole week to recover from. One night of heavy drinking leaves you with a pounding headache the next day. Your health check report starts showing all kinds of alarming arrows and plus signs. You suddenly realize that the body that once responded to your every call and bore every burden without complaint has started to push back. 40 is your body's midlife rebellion. The fifth and most heartbreaking awakening it brings is the moment you finally admit, deep down, health isn't just a priority in life, it is the one. Without it, all the zeros that follow, wealth, status, family, dreams, mean nothing. You may have seen it firsthand or heard stories of peers whose lives collapsed overnight due to health issues. That friend who once drank with you like a brother might suddenly end up in the ICU. That boss who once commanded the workplace might be forced to say goodbye to their career because of a single diagnosis. These real-life examples are more powerful than any lecture. For the first time, you truly feel fear, deep and genuine. But this fear isn't weakness. It's a moment of clarity. You begin to realize the money you spent the first half of your life working yourself to the brink to earn may have to be spent in the second half trying to buy back your health. And even then, it might not be enough. A hospital bill will show you what the greatest bankruptcy in life really means. Your body is the most fundamental way you show love to your family. You always say you want to give your loved ones the best life, but if you're constantly unwell, you become their greatest burden and worry. Staying healthy is the greatest responsibility you have to your family. In the second half of life, what matters most isn't IQ or EQ. It's your health quotient, how far you can go, and how long you can enjoy the fruits of your hard work. Your physical health is the only determining factor. So, at 40, you shift into self-care mode. You no longer use being busy as an excuse. You start scheduling workouts into your calendar. You no longer crave heavy, greasy takeout. You begin exploring nutritious recipes. You no longer think annual checkups are unnecessary. You even take the initiative to schedule them for your parents. Your life transitions from consumption mode to maintenance mode. You finally realize that taking care of your body is the most rewarding and foolproof investment you can make. This newfound respect for life is the most profound lesson turning 40 has taught you. Point 6. You finally realize that both your appearance and your destiny are shaped by yourself. Have you ever noticed something interesting? Many people are quite attractive in their youth, but by middle age, their faces are marked with bitterness and weariness. Meanwhile, others who looked ordinary when they were young seem to grow more kind and pleasant with age, making people feel at ease just by being around them. We often think our looks are inherited from our parents, and our fate is determined by the heavens. We complain about having bad luck and envy others for their good fortune. We live with a sense of helplessness, feeling like mere pawns on the chessboard of fate, moved around at will. But by the time you turn 40, after meeting enough people and going through enough experiences, you come to the sixth and most fundamental awakening. You finally understand that what a person looks like after 40 reflects the books they've read, the roads they've traveled, the people they've loved, and even more importantly, their temperament and mindset. Your face reflects the state of your soul. Your fate is the result of your choices. You finally come to understand. The saying, appearance comes from the heart, is true. Someone who has long been kind, optimistic, and at peace will have relaxed brows, a gentle smile, and a warm, inviting presence. In contrast, someone who is constantly complaining, calculating, and angry will inevitably show furrowed brows and a harsh expression. Your emotions are like a carving knife, shaping your appearance day after day. What we call destiny is the sum of all your choices. Every time you slack off in the first half of your life, it becomes a pitfall in the second half. Every act of kindness and perseverance will one day become a gift. You always complain about not meeting the right people. But have you ever considered whether you've made yourself someone worth helping? You always blame bad luck. But have you ever prepared yourself before opportunities come your way? At 40, you no longer blame fate or others. You've begun to realize that instead of praying for good fortune, it's better to reflect and correct your own words, actions, thoughts, and intentions. You're starting to work on your inner self. You're learning to control your temper because you understand that every outburst not only stains your destiny, but also your appearance. You're learning to be grateful, to appreciate the small joys in life, because you know that the energy of joy attracts even more joy, that you've learned to take responsibility instead of shifting the blame, because you know the steering wheel of your life is in your own hands. You finally come to understand that the best makeover is managing your emotions well. The best way to change your fate is to change your mindset and choices. When you start taking 100% responsibility for your life, you turn fate from a noun into a verb. That is the ultimate freedom and power that turning 40 gives you. All right, my friend, let's sum it up. We've come to understand money and started using it to please ourselves instead of trying to impress the world. We've seen through relationships and begun to enjoy high-quality solitude instead of clinging to low-quality social circles. We've started to value ourselves and finally have the courage to be unapologetically selfish, taking full responsibility for our own feelings. We've learned to let go of gains and losses, and with a simple let it go, we've learned to give ourselves a break. We've grown cautious of our body's warnings and started treating health as our one true belief. And finally, we've seen through fate and realized that the script of our lives is ultimately written by us. You will find that these 6 awakenings all point in the same direction. A shift from seeking outward to looking inward, from living for others to living for yourself. So, why do people say that life truly begins at 40? Because before 40, we are merely surviving, completing tasks assigned by society and our genetic programming, studying, working, starting a family, reproducing. Our lives follow a passive script. After the age of 40, once we have completed these fundamental tasks and accumulated enough wisdom to see through the illusions of the world, we finally gain the true freedom of choice to begin a life that is truly our own, a journey that is intentional, conscious, and self-created. The first half of life is about addition, as we continuously stack on identities, responsibilities, wealth, and desires. The second half is about subtraction, as we gradually strip away what doesn't belong to our true nature, returning to the simplest and most authentic core of who we are. So if you're standing at the threshold of 40 or have already stepped into this age of clarity, don't be anxious and don't be afraid that you're not going downhill. You've simply arrived at the entrance of the winding mountain road that truly belongs to you, with breathtaking views along the way. To conclude today's talk, I'd like to end with a powerful quote from the great psychologist Carl Jung. He said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Turning 40 is that pivotal moment when you begin to bring the unconscious into your awareness. From this point forward, you're no longer being led by fate. You begin to shape your own destiny with your own hands. Congratulations, and welcome to the second half of your life. This is where your true journey begins. That's it for today's video. If you have any thoughts, please share them in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe. The purpose of this channel is to help us become better and grow stronger from within.